My name is Jane, and this is the story of how I took control of my life and reclaimed my self-worth after my husband, Derek, betrayed me. I am a 35-year-old lawyer in Boston, and for the longest time, I thought I had the perfect life. I was married to Derek, a successful 38-year-old owner of a textile company. We had a beautiful home, and from the outside, everything seemed perfect. But things started to change. Derek, once attentive and loving, began to withdraw. He spent more time at work, frequently took business trips, and was often preoccupied. At first, I attributed it to the pressures of running a business, but soon, I started to notice other signs. Derek began to criticize me more often, particularly about my appearance and my career. Despite being a prominent lawyer, he belittled my success because I didn't earn as much as he did. The turning point came one evening when Derek was on yet another business trip. I was feeling lonely and decided to use his old laptop, which he rarely used. That's when I stumbled upon a secret Instagram account. My heart pounded as I scrolled through the messages and photos. It was clear that Derek was having an affair with a woman named Jessica, a beautiful young woman in her mid-20s. The next day, when Derek returned, I confronted him. "Derek, are you cheating on me?" I asked, my voice trembling with both anger and sadness. "I have proof," I added, holding up the laptop. Derek didn't even flinch. Instead, he looked at me with cold eyes and said, "Jane, you're just not interesting anymore. You're always busy with your pointless cases, and frankly, you're not a supermodel. I need someone who can keep up with me and make me feel alive." His words cut me deeply. I had always supported him, stood by him through thick and thin, and this was how he repaid me. I couldn't believe the man I had loved for over a decade was capable of such cruelty. But instead of breaking down, I decided to fight back. I remembered the prenuptial agreement we had signed. It clearly stated that if Derek cheated, I was entitled to half of his business. It was a detail he had likely forgotten or hoped I wouldn't remember. I moved out of our house and returned to my childhood home, which was in my name. It was a small comfort in the midst of my turmoil. I immediately started preparing for the legal battle ahead. Derek, however, was not done with his deceit. He tried to manipulate me, suggesting that we could work things out, but I knew better. His only goal was to drag out the divorce and make me give up my rightful share of his business. I arranged a meeting with Liam, Derek's lawyer. Liam and I had crossed paths professionally a few times, and I knew he didn't anticipate facing me in this situation. When I presented him with the evidence of Derek's affair and the prenuptial agreement, he was visibly shocked. It was clear that Derek had not been entirely honest with him. "Liam, I have all the proof I need," I said calmly, handing over the documents and photos. "Derek cheated on me, and as per the prenup, I'm entitled to half of his business." Liam studied the documents, his hands trembling slightly. "Jane, I had no idea," he stammered. "Derek never mentioned any of this." "Well, now you know," I replied. "And you can tell Derek that I'm not backing down. I will get what I deserve." Derek was furious when he learned about my meeting with Liam. He called me, his voice filled with anger. "What did you say to my lawyer, Jane? Why are you doing this?" "Because you betrayed me, Derek," I responded, my voice steady. "And I won't let you get away with it." Over the next few weeks, Derek tried every trick in the book to intimidate and manipulate me, but I stood firm. I hired a lawyer from my firm to represent me, ensuring minimal interaction with Derek. The prenuptial agreement made the process straightforward, and with ample evidence of his infidelity, I was confident that I would secure my share of his business. Despite Derek's attempts to make me give up, I remained resolute. I was determined to reclaim my self-worth and build a better future for myself. This was just the beginning of my journey, and I knew there would be more challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them head-on. After the initial shock and pain, I knew I had to be strong and strategic. I couldn't let Derek's betrayal define me. Returning to my childhood home was both comforting and empowering. It was a place filled with memories of simpler times, and it gave me the strength I needed to move forward. As I settled into my new routine, I focused on gathering all the necessary documents and evidence for the divorce. My legal mind was sharp, and I was meticulous in my preparations. I had no intention of allowing Derek to manipulate the situation any further. Meanwhile, Derek continued his attempts to intimidate me. He sent me a series of messages, alternating between anger and pleading. He couldn't fathom that I was serious about taking half of his textile company. He had always underestimated me, and now he was paying the price. One evening, as I was organizing my documents, I received a call from Derek. "Jane, we need to talk," he said, trying to sound calm but failing to mask the desperation in his voice. "Derek, there's nothing left to talk about," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "We're going through with the divorce, and you know why. Please, Jane, can't we just settle this without all the legal drama?" he pleaded. "Think about our years together." I took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of sadness and resolve. "Derek, you made your choice when you cheated on me. Now, I'm making mine. I won't back down." The next day, I had another meeting with Liam. This time, he seemed more prepared, but I could see the tension in his eyes. We met at a cafe, and as we sat down, I noticed he was more cautious with his words. "Jane, I understand your position," Liam began, trying to maintain a professional tone. "But is there any way we can reach a settlement that both parties can agree on?" "Liam, the prenuptial agreement is clear," I said firmly. "Derek cheated, and I'm entitled to half of his business. There's no room for negotiation on that." He nodded, acknowledging the strength of my case. "I understand. Derek hasn't made this easy for any of us." I leaned in, looking him straight in the eye. "Liam, I don't want to drag this out any longer than necessary. The sooner we finalize this, the better it is for everyone involved." After our meeting, I felt a renewed sense of determination. I knew Derek was feeling the pressure, and I was ready to see this through to the end. Over the next few weeks, my lawyer and I worked tirelessly to ensure every detail was covered. We left no stone unturned. Derek's attempts to prolong the process were futile. His financial situation was deteriorating rapidly. He had spent a significant amount of money on Jessica, and now, with the prospect of losing half of his business, he was starting to feel the pinch. The house he once boasted about was on the market, and he had moved into a modest condo. One morning, as I was getting ready for work, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Derek standing there, looking defeated and weary. I invited him in, not out of kindness, but because I didn't want the neighbors to witness the scene. "Jane, please," he began, his voice breaking. "I know I messed up, but don't take my business. It's all I have left." I looked at him, feeling a mix of pity and satisfaction. "Derek, you put that clause in the prenup yourself. You thought you were untouchable, and now you're facing the consequences of your actions." Tears welled up in his eyes. "I've put my relationship with Jessica on hold. I know it was a mistake. Maybe we can give our marriage another chance." I couldn't help but laugh at the audacity of his proposal. "Derek, there's no going back. You showed your true colors, and I deserve better. This is my chance to start over, and I'm taking it." He continued to plead, but my mind was made up. I escorted him to the door and watched as he walked away, knowing that I had finally taken control of my life. The divorce proceedings continued, and despite Derek's attempts to find a new lawyer, no one was willing to take his case against me. My reputation in the legal community was strong, and no one wanted to go up against me, especially with the clear evidence I had. Eventually, Derek conceded. He agreed to the terms of the prenup, and we finalized the divorce. I was awarded half of his textile company, which was a significant victory for me. I appointed a manager to handle my share of the business, ensuring it continued to thrive. With the divorce behind me, I felt a newfound sense of freedom. I was no longer defined by my marriage or Derek's betrayal. I had reclaimed my self-worth and was ready to build a new future for myself. With the divorce finalized, I began the process of rebuilding my life. The initial relief of being free from Derek's manipulation and deceit was overwhelming. I threw myself into my work, finding solace and satisfaction in the courtroom. My colleagues noticed a change in me. I was more driven, more focused. I wasn't just fighting for my clients. I was fighting for myself. Managing my new share of Derek's textile company was a challenge, but one I embraced wholeheartedly. I appointed Mark, an experienced manager, to oversee the daily operations. Mark was efficient and trustworthy, and I knew he would handle the business well. This allowed me to continue focusing on my law practice while ensuring my new business venture thrived. Every day, I grew more confident in my abilities. I began to see the fruits of my labor, both in my law career and in the textile company. I moved out of my childhood home and bought a beautiful new mansion in the heart of Boston. It was a symbol of my newfound independence and success. One evening, as I was reviewing some documents, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Derek. I hadn't heard from him in weeks, and seeing his name on my screen brought back a flood of emotions. Against my better judgment, I opened the message. "Jane, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need to talk. Please." I stared at the screen, debating whether to respond. Curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to meet him the next day. We met at a quiet cafe, away from the prying eyes of our former social circle. Derek looked worse than I had ever seen him. The confident, successful man I once knew was now a shadow of his former self. He fidgeted nervously as he spoke. "Jane, I've lost everything. Jessica left me, and I can barely keep up with the bills. I know I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. I'm not asking for sympathy. I just wanted you to know that I realize how much I messed up." I listened, feeling a mix of pity and vindication. "Derek, I appreciate your apology, but it doesn't change what happened. You made your choices, and now you're facing the consequences." He nodded, tears welling up in his eyes. "I know. I was arrogant and foolish. I just wanted you to know that I regret everything." As I left the cafe, I felt a sense of closure. Derek's apology, though late, gave me a sense of finality. I was truly free from his shadow, ready to fully embrace my new life. With my focus back on my career and business, I started taking on more significant cases at work. My success rate soared, and I gained recognition as one of Boston's top lawyers. The textile company also flourished under Mark's management, adding to my financial stability. One day, Mark called me with exciting news. "Jane, our company has secured a major contract with one of the leading fashion brands in New York. This is a game changer for us." I was thrilled. This contract not only meant substantial profits, but also elevated the company's status in the industry. It was a testament to how far I had come since leaving Derek. The news spread quickly, and soon I was receiving invitations to industry events and recognition from various business associations. My life had transformed dramatically, and I couldn't be happier. Reflecting on my journey, I realized that Derek's betrayal had been a catalyst for my empowerment. I had discovered strength and resilience I didn't know I possessed. I had rebuilt my life on my terms, proving to myself and others that I was more than capable. But even with all this success, I knew the journey wasn't over. Life would always present new challenges, but I was ready to face them head-on, armed with the knowledge that I had reclaimed my self-worth and emerged stronger than ever. With my career flourishing and the textile company booming, I felt a sense of fulfillment and peace that I hadn't known in years. I had faced the worst and come out stronger. Yet, life had one more surprise in store for me. One evening, I attended a charity gala in Boston. It was a grand event, filled with influential people from various industries. As I mingled and networked, I met a charming man named Alex. He was an architect, successful yet humble, with a warm and genuine personality. We struck up a conversation, and before I knew it, hours had flown by. Over the next few weeks, Alex and I grew closer. He was kind, supportive, and appreciated me for who I was. For the first time since Derek, I felt a genuine connection with someone. I shared my past with Alex, and he listened without judgment, offering understanding and encouragement. Meanwhile, my professional life continued to soar. The textile company secured another major contract, this time with a renowned designer in Los Angeles. Mark and I celebrated our success, toasting to the future and the incredible journey we had undertaken. One day, I received a call from Liam, Derek's former lawyer. "Jane, I wanted to reach out and let you know that Derek is struggling. He's lost his business and is facing serious financial issues." I paused, feeling a twinge of sadness. Despite everything, Derek had been a significant part of my life. "Thank you for letting me know, Liam," I replied. "I hope he finds a way to move forward." In the midst of all this, Alex surprised me with a weekend getaway to the countryside. It was a much-needed break from my busy schedule. We spent the weekend hiking, talking, and simply enjoying each other's company. It was during this trip that I realized how far I had come, both personally and professionally. On our last evening in the countryside, Alex took me to a beautiful overlook at sunset. As we stood there, taking in the breathtaking view, he turned to me and said, "Jane, you are the most incredible woman I have ever met. Your strength and resilience inspire me every day. I love you." Tears welled up in my eyes as I replied, "I love you too, Alex. Thank you for being there for me and for accepting me as I am." We returned to Boston, our relationship stronger than ever. I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the new chapter in my life. Derek's betrayal had been painful, but it had also led me to discover my true self and find happiness again. One afternoon, as I was working in my office, Mark burst in with a huge smile on his face. "Jane, we did it. Our company has just been awarded Textile Company of the Year by the National Textile Association." I was overjoyed. This recognition was the culmination of all our hard work and perseverance. We gathered the team and celebrated this incredible achievement, toasting to our success and the bright future ahead. Reflecting on my journey, I realized how much I had grown. From the depths of betrayal and deceit, I had risen, reclaiming my self-worth and building a life I was proud of. I had faced Derek's attempts to undermine me, and instead of breaking, I had become stronger. As I stood on the stage, accepting the award for our company, I looked out at the audience and saw Alex, Mark, and my colleagues cheering for me. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to my resilience and determination. In the end, I learned that empowerment comes from within. Despite the challenges and setbacks, I had reclaimed my life and found happiness on my terms. My story was one of strength, resilience, and the unwavering belief that we can rise above betrayal and deceit to build a better future.